Welcome to Creatacast with your host, David Welch. Sorry about that rough start, guys. Today's show is about a few things. First thing that I want to talk about today's show is that Lucifer Season 4 with Netflix kicked major ass. It was friggin' awesome. Not to give too many spoilers, Mazikeen really comes into some uncomfortable territory. Lucifer, surprisingly enough, has several more epiphanies and does very much surprise you. Chloe's Chloe. You know, we get a lot of good things from Chloe Decker. Dan's character really upset me this season. It wasn't really that fun of a character. And then Trixie was just kind of left out of the equation, mostly. I mean, she's there, but not really there. So, a few things to tighten up for next season. But it's going. So, keep working. Coming up, we are looking forward to Stranger Things Season 3. Now, Season 2, to me, despite having a good cast of characters, some returning, some entering the show, and then summarily leaving the show, was great. Like, I really, really enjoyed Season 2. It just wasn't quite like Season 1, but that's okay. We don't need a carbon copy of Season 1. What we need is some pizzazz, and I think they really brought it. Season 3, I guarantee I'm probably not going to be disappointed. I can almost guarantee that. I mean, they got such wonderful actors, actresses, and they really, I think, have a good storyline going. I read the prequel book. Now, I don't know if that's canon or whatnot, but I'm telling you, that book hit home. It was excellent. If you have not had a chance to go out and find the Stranger Things novel, do so. It is a very good lead up to Season 1. Now, for those who have not seen Stranger Things at all, I recommend setting aside a whole day. And this is going to tie back into my poetry book here in a minute. But set aside a whole day. Set aside a whole friggin' weekend. Grab a watching buddy. Set aside some time. Get some popcorn. Get some drinks. Order a pizza. Get some candy, like a good bowl or bucket of candy. And power through Seasons 1 and 2 before Season 3 comes out. Because right when Season 3 comes out, it'll be July 4th, you're going to want to be up to snuff and ready to go. In fact, I would encourage you to buy the book, read the book, watch Season 1, watch Season 2, and then just be ready. That's my recommendation for those who have not seen Stranger Things. Here's how I can recommend Stranger Things, and here's how I can tie it into any 90s kid who is a kid at heart. You are going to thoroughly enjoy the series. It's like everything we loved as kids and all the films that we enjoyed, all packed into one nice, neat little season. The same enjoyment you may get when you watch things like Supernatural. Supernatural is very cool because what it does is it hits on a lot of cylinders. It's great music. It's got a great cast. Stranger Things very similar. Great cast, great music, great choice in direction that the story's going. Great narrative. It's pretty fresh, but there's a lot of old tropes, a lot of old things that we grew up on, a lot of nostalgia built into this series. So be prepared for that. Go into it knowing, hey, this is a trip back in time. It is a monumental awakening of familiar stories and senses of that time period. And there's also a love story. Now, just like with Goonies and a bunch of other films that we enjoyed in the 80s and 90s, they all had underlying love stories with the protagonist or one of the protagonists and one of the either other protagonists or another peripheral character. So enjoy the series. Like I said, getting into it is kind of slow going. But the build-up is on purpose. If you're someone who really likes to get into the thick of a story and you are one of those people that like to analyze things and go back and check things out, please, 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 please take your time and watch every little bit of the show. You're going to enjoy. You won't miss a beat. Another thing we have to talk about is where have I been? You know, I was kind of on this tack where I have been out in nature. I have been literally everywhere. And here's what I mean by everywhere. My life has taken a turn in the most surprisingly fun and artistic way I could be without being full-on nerd or investigative reporter. Hi. So, sorry, that was my daughter, guys. So, anyways, right now we are on this trajectory that I'm on. It's a fun little sidebar, and this happens to authors. When things happen in life, moves, things like that, sometimes it takes some time to get back into the flow of writing. Now, there's a lot of people who don't miss a beat and carry their laptop with them everywhere. Unfortunately, my laptop is one of them big Asus laptops. It's a gaming computer, and it's just not very fun to carry all the time. It's heavy. Not that I'm not big enough to carry the dang thing. It's just that it's just unwieldy. Like, I miss my little Toshiba laptop. Really do. That thing was friggin' sweet, mobile, could take it anywhere, easy to pack up, easy to just, move and do things. But I digress. So I have been fortunate enough to meet some great people, get ties back into the community that I honestly didn't know if I would get back into, and I'm glad I am. So I'm getting back into competing, like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA. I've been training with the best down in San Diego at Team Alliance. And it's been a rewarding experience. What I have been doing is documenting pictures, video, content, things like that. A couple of the fighters' journeys through their current camps, because a lot of them are getting ready to dive full well into Mortal Kombat this month. I mean, this month is crazy for Alliance. Every weekend this month, there is somebody from that gym being represented at Combate Americas, Bellator, or UFC. And it is freaking awesome to see all these fighters in action. Even the ones that are not in camp right now, they are supplementing, they are helping those who are in camp getting ready to fight. Now, a lot of the fighters you guys may not know, or if you guys do know their big names, regardless of who they are, I have been blessed to train, be with, hang out with, and experience things because of the hard work I did in high school, becoming the level of wrestler I did in the Navy, and becoming the level of wrestler I am after college. Now, I'm not an NCAA champ like Darion Caldwell, but I did compete. I did win definitely my fair share of matches. And, I carry in a specialty that not all MMA fighters are built with. Most come in with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Some come in with various forms of martial arts at first, and then we build upon those skills to encompass grappling and other things. So it's been a good journey for me to be there, train with the best, train with champions, and also document my experience with my GoPro camera, make videos for the guys, submit them different types of videos so that they can share that on their social media. And it's been great. So I have truly been blessed the last, I'd say, 5 weeks. And that journey is still going to continue, because this journey is going to take me to New York next week, Las Vegas this week, and then Las Vegas again after New York. And it's just ongoing. I mean, once you get on this train, it's hard to get off once you're in the work. Once you're working and you're experiencing a different lifestyle and things like that. From where I was 10 weeks ago is a different world. And I have to give credit to my wife. She has backed my play 110%. Not to say that we haven't struggled, guys. Like, the struggle is real when it comes to finances. We have toddlers, and we have a group of help with these fighters, from these fighters and from close friends. So it has been a blessing, but I have literally been working my tail off, helping write, helping doing a lot of different projects with a lot of different fighters. So I have carried my niche into their niche and offer a supplement that is greatly needed. And not only have I been writing articles, I've been doing pictures, I've been doing video, I've been doing a lot of extra work, being an asset, no matter what, like driving to practice, helping the heavier guys wrestle and grapple, and it's just been a great experience. So it's just been awesome. Now, based on what I've talked before, I don't know if I've mentioned it too much on Creatacast, but I have had legal trouble in the past that I am getting moving forward with as well. I am going to the law library soon to get my lawsuit drawn up, and you guys will hear more about this as time goes on. But the direction Creatacast is going right now, and it's to my chagrin, it's been missing, and I shouldn't have been missing as long as I have been. But time flies when you're drinking rum. I mean, having fun. And one of the greatest things that I've been able to do is really step back from my writing. And now I'm reapproaching my writing with new vigor. And here's what I mean. I have literally my poetry book and my young adult fiction novel on the cusp of just being ready, being done. And stepping back and then reanalyzing and going back through some of my poems and back through a couple of the chapters that I've been working on, I feel like I am not 100% sure I want to run with the current version. So this goes back to drafting and rewriting and formulating your original, working from your original story idea to fruition. Into the full-on novel or the full-on poetry book. Now, keeping in theme, I'm definitely keeping in theme with my poetry book, and definitely keeping in theme and modus operandi with my novel. It's going to be, the ultimate end is going to be the same, actually. But the product, I believe, now is going to be a lot crisper. It's going to be a lot better, because now I can attack it from a different vantage point. Because originally my poetry book was simply just going to be poetry. There was going to be nothing there. But stepping back and realizing that my book could be even more. In fact, I can see poetry going this direction in the future. I'm going to add accompaniments to the poetry, meaning I'm going to probably contract an illustrator to add a couple of illustrations to my poetry. So it's going to be a poetic journey with a visual representation. Now, poetry doesn't often need a visual representation. That's why only a few of the poems are going to have a visual accompaniment. Others may have a music background recommendation for the piece. So that is something I'm trying to incorporate. And this is something I picked up from a good friend in college, and I'm going to butcher her name, Kamika Wojdralski. Yeah, I know I fucked that up. But I got a tip from her back when I went to the Northern Underground Literature Conference in Weber, in Ogden, Utah, at Weber State. And one of my big takeaways from her was that she accompanied her poetry with music. Now, they weren't downright songs. They weren't compositions. They were just read along with the piece. And there was no particular hard flow like a rap or anything like that, but it did coalesce in a very good way, kind of like wine, I would say. So, you know how wine is a supplement to certain type of meals, the accompaniment of the music can alter the perception of the poem. And here's what I mean. If you have a very sultry poem, you are not going to accompany that with hardcore rock and roll, unless that's your bag, unless that's your thing. And even so, you'd probably pick a song that's more or less gonna do the same thing that the poem's gonna do. But these that I'm gonna accompany with certain poems are just gonna be an accompaniment of music. Now, the music's not gonna have lyrics. It's just gonna be compositions that I think would fit while you're reading the poem. Now, you could even figure out your own cup of tea with the poem. But the idea is to make a recommendation for the environment under which the poem is read. Other recommendations are going to be there, but it's going to be something that I really believe is going to help the poet. Another thing that I'm adding to this book, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone do before, and I'm kind of giving you guys a heads up, I'm going to add a critique page at the back, and I'm also going to add a example of a very well critiqued poem, one of mine, that was given very good critical feedback. And the reason I'm doing this is to ensure that when you look at someone's work, you're not just looking at the work for the face value of what you're bringing or what you're seeing. There is context and there are reasons poets do what they do outside of the obvious. And I'm going to provide examples of why that is. And what good feedback. Now, this is perfect for those who are in school who have no idea how to give critical feedback to a poet, because let's say, hey, you've always written poetry, you've had feedback yourself, but not quite sure how to give it. Well, this is a way, through example, to show you how to better understand the poet and to better understand maybe their motivations behind their word choice, their punctuation choice, their narrative style, whatever it is that they chose to do. It'll give you a better eye to review and digest the poem. Because ultimately, poetry, once received, is up to those who read it to determine how that affects them, or where they feel, or what area of the brain that they're going to process that in. For me, it's a blessing and a curse to be me and analyze poetry and fiction. I do very much the same thing when I do both, but with my poetry book, it's going to have different accompaniments, but I think you're going to enjoy the way it looks afterwards. And it's going to be a better product or a better project than my previous idea. Because I don't want to just throw poems at you for the sake of throwing them at you and then hoping one of them sticks. No, I want there to be a method to my madness. And I want people to ruminate and think on my poetry. So this is going to give you ample opportunity to understand the poem. In fact, people can take one poem and write whole, no, I wouldn't say books, but whole papers on the one poem, because there's a lot going on in the poem that people can extract from. So I'm going to provide you guys an example of what I'm talking about, give very good critical feedback on one of the poems, and then leave some pages in the back, some forms, some extra room for you to give me the feedback. And you could screenshot it, send it to me, you can email me, you can do whatever it is you want to do to give me feedback. You could I can make it detachable so you can take it out and send it to me via letter. That'd be awesome. I keep those. Probably make a book out of them. Anyways, that's where I'm at with my poetry book. It will be a better product, and definitely working with an illustrator to really take a stab at providing good illustrations for it. My young adult novel, very similar thing that I'm doing. I'm going to reach out to one of my favorite illustrators, and I am going to pay to get his work attached to my work, because I believe in his ability to do quality work. So I'm not going to release the illustrator's name yet because the deal's not done. But once the deal's done, I will be shouting from the rooftops to make it so. Now, this illustrator, let's just put it this way. The illustrator that I'll be kind of begging to work with me has done work for Disney, so their work matters. I'm an author from nowhere. I'm taking a leap of faith, but that illustrator is top tier, so I'm going to work diligently to ensure that my book not only gets picked up by a major publisher, but to get the illustrator that I really, really want to work on my book. So that's the battle plan. Now, this summer is going to be kind of huge for me. I'm going to be doing a lot of work. But I am here to confirm that I will keep on the attack on Creatacast. I will keep moving forward with the show, regardless of the amount of activity that I am doing. So it's going to be very important to follow the show, keep up, tell your friends, and please, please, please try and submit your work to Creatacast. Please send me an email with your work. Use Word, PDF, or even Google Docs if you would like. You're going to please, please, please send the fiction, poetry, plays, creative nonfiction. Keep it to 10 pages. Preferably the poetry is on separate pages. That way I can distinctly read them. And my email for those submissions is dwelch, WELCH, 9627@gmail.com. D as in Delta, W as in Whiskey, Echo as in, or E as in Echo, L as in Lima, C as in Charlie, H as in Hotel, 9627@gmail.com. Please reach out to me. Let me know what you think of the show. I'd be happy to take a review. And if you have read my book, Hell's Waiting Room and Other Stories, please leave me a review on Amazon. I would love to hear the critical feedback for my short stories. This is an opportunity for you to tell me, yeah, hey, you're going in the right direction, Dave. Let me give you some feedback, and that way I can take it into my next projects. Because I still have been writing short stories. My next group of short stories is going to be well on the way. I already have 5 that are complete, but I'm going to have a bunch more before my second Hell's Waiting Room and Other Stories 2, which is just a working title, but I will use one of my stories as the title, and it'll be volume 2 of my short stories. So just keep on the lookout for the short stories, keep on the lookout for my poetry book. Please, please, please check out my play, Danse Macabre. For those who are in theater, I want you to go ahead and take a look at the play and expect another accompaniment of plays coming. I have been saying this for a while, but they're nearly done. The plays I am just going to release. Only the feature-length play is timed. The others are not timed whatsoever, but they are more like skits. They are more one-act plays. The other feature play has music and has quite a few other things. I'm going to have to put it out there and see where it goes. Sorry about that. But thank you for listening to Creatacast with your host, David Welch. Everyone have a great day.